Steve from Steve Ballistics RC. I have my daughter helping me today with using the camera. Her name's Taylor. I just wanted to show you my Proboat UL-19. I've had some questions about overheating on 6S. So I'm going to show you a few things that I've done to the boat where I'm trying to get some of the temperatures down. So I'm going to go through that with you. I run 6S in this boat just because, well, I specifically bought this boat because it runs on 6S. Most of my other models that I have are running on 6S. So I'm trying to kind of save my money to, like, instead of having specific batteries for specific models, I want to be able to use my batteries on all my models. So I usually run two 3S batteries in this boat. And basically, another reason why I want to run the 6S is just because it's fast. I've had some heat issues with this boat as well. Running on 6S, I've actually had the motor wires unsolder from the motor. And of course, you know, when you get temperatures running that hot, I've taken off the canopy and you get a billow of smoke kind of puffing out of it. So I'm trying my best to try to get some temperatures down on the boat itself. So the factors that I've found to be leading to a lot of the heat is I don't hold the boat full open throttle all the time. I just do it on short bursts in straight stretches. So the biggest thing is amperage as well. So you want to try to keep your amperage down. That's kind of so basically when the motor is trying to turn that propeller and it's having a hard time to do it, it's going to make things heat up with the ESC and the motor itself. Now, one thing I've done to help with the weight of the boat is I use here's one of the batteries I use here. It's a big battery, big 3S battery. So instead of using the bigger battery, I like to use the smaller one, the Venom, and it is significantly smaller and significantly lighter. So I think the lighter the boat too, the easier it's going to go through the water as well. So that will help with the amperage draw on that the motor and the ESC. So the prop size is another factor. So it comes with this prop here. So this prop is heavy. It's a stainless steel prop. It's a nice looking prop, but it is quite heavy. So as I say, I'm trying to keep the amperage down, and this does not help whatsoever. So I tried an Arctura 640 prop, and it seems to be pretty good. I might just go get another prop as well, something maybe just a little bit smaller than that, just try it, see what happens. But anyways, the Arctura 640 prop is quite a bit lighter than this one. So this is the prop that I use. That's the 640 Arctura prop. Now, if you take a look at this prop compared to the other prop, this one is quite a bit larger. The stock one is quite a bit larger. This one has been lightened and balanced So it is substantially lighter than what came off of it. So this helps with the amperage draw as well. I've also tried to keep this as streamlined as possible too. I made a little shim in here for the prop, because this prop here is quite a bit longer than the stock. Than the Arctura prop. So I had to actually put a little shim in here instead of cutting down the whole flex shaft. I also have an Arctura prop nut, which helps with that streamlining as well. One thing also, when I was talking about the amperage, it's very important with this boat that I've found to, this is the flex shaft here where it goes down through the pipe. And if you do not keep that greased, I grease it usually every 1 or 2 times I go out with it. That does start binding in there. So that means extra amp draw. So I have this just enough grease in there to make it have a lot less, quiet bird, to have a lot less amp draw. So another thing that I found with the heat factor was the water conditions. If it's rough, the boat seems to kind of skip over the waves and there's not a lot of drag on the boat. But when you have calm water, it kind of sticks to the water, and then you have the prop in the water all the time. It seems to have a little more amp draw when it's really smooth conditions. And of course, if it's smooth conditions, the boat's performing nicely and you just squeeze the trigger that much more without even really realizing it. Now another factor right now is the temperature. Right now it's spring in Canada, and the water temps aren't really high, so the boat seems to run the best in early spring and late fall for overheating. Now I'm going to just give you an overview of the boat. There's a few changes here and there that I have for cooling purposes and looks as well. I've already showed you the prop and the prop nut and the spacer, so that's one thing I've done to it. This right here, that's a new water pickup I put on last year. This is from Offshore Electrics. So I got the pickup and the tubing. So I have one actually dedicated for the ESC and one dedicated for the motor, and that seems to have cooled it down substantially. Mind you, don't let me try to fool you. The boat itself, it still runs fairly high temperatures. If there's anyone out there that has any good ideas for me as well, then I'm definitely willing to listen and maybe use some of the advice that other people have. But let me see what else. So I have the 2 water pickups, of course, the stock one and the one from Offshore Electrics. And if you look at the side right here, this guy right here, it's a dual spout. So this is from Offshore Electrics as well. I believe this is for the Traxxas Spartan, but it works quite well on this boat as well. Now another thing I've done to this boat is the exhaust right here, the fake exhaust. This used to be the fins on the back of the boat. It's basically for decoration, doesn't really have any purpose. But I've noticed that when you flip the boat, these things, if you catch the wrong way, the fin used to just kind of bend over and break off and then be sunk in the water. So instead of buying those every time I flipped it, I custom fabricated these exhaust tips. I think it looks really cool. I actually kind of like it better than the fins. What else have I done to this? I run a Spectrum remote control, so I have a Spectrum receiver in here, and I use the Savox Servo SW 1211, and it's a waterproof cordless servo digital. Works very well. It's very fast. Steel gears. It's one of my favorites. But that's pretty much it as far as anything I've done to it. The cooling is still an issue. It runs a lot better than what it had before it was stock. I started with a prop, and then I went with that wasn't working obviously quite enough. So I got the extra water pickup, and now it's the temperatures are bearable, but I'd still like to get them down a few degrees. And so that's kind of an overview of my Proboat UL-19 and the extra cooling I've done to it. It seems to work fairly well. My last video I posted on YouTube, I ran 4 packs through it. I ran one of these, or 2 of these through, and then after that I ran 2 of these through. And I waited about 10 minutes or 15 minutes between batteries, and it seemed to work quite well. I didn't have any thermal shutdown at all. But as I say, the water temperatures are a little cooler right now. So we'll see what happens later on in the summertime, and I'll keep you guys updated. If you like this video, please subscribe and like the video, and we'll talk to you guys later. Thank you.